Wow. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and my God, does it feel good to be back. Some of you may not have any idea what I'm talking about, and for those of you who don't, please allow me to tell you that last week here on After Prison Show was probably one of our weakest weeks ever. And that's completely my fault. I feel horrible for that. And the reason being is because old Joe was suffering from that gonosyphil AIDS. I was really sick last week. It was horrible. I hate getting sick. I hate feeling useless. And last week, that is exactly the way that I was feeling. Folks, there's no worse feeling in the world than being couch-ridden, bed-ridden, feeling like you can't do anything, feverishly sweating, living off of nothing other than orange juice and Mucinex, and no matter how hard I would attempt to try to film videos, it just would not work. Then ultimately the worst would happen, and that would be that I would lose my voice. I'm just starting to get that back, and I gotta tell you, it feels really good to be able to talk, especially considering that's what I do for a living. Folks, I haven't watched as much TV as I did this past week since I was in prison. And you know, one other really ironic thing to mention about being in prison, folks, anything about this outfit that I'm wearing here look familiar at all? No? Well, when I got up this morning and my wife laid out my clothes for me, special shout out to my wife. She has been basically nursing me back to health and being like the wife of the century this past week while I've been dealing with this sickness. But when she laid out this clothes and I got dressed and I looked at myself in the mirror, this outfit looks very similar to one that I was wearing 3.5 years ago when I was first released from prison.
It's rolling.
This is me, finally free after 7 years. This is for everybody who isn't here to see this right now. I'm walking out of here after 7 years to a whole new life and a whole new beginning, and I'm ready for this. And I just want to let everybody know that it's a great feeling, overwhelming at the same time, and I'm just happy to be here. That's enough. Except this that Ralph Lauren, this ain't that prison release attire. Boy, Joe, you're looking like you just got released from the penitentiary, which is also very ironic considering what we're getting ready to talk about in today's video. Folks, with the fact that I was sick this past week, there were a lot of stories that I did not get a chance to address, especially in relation to little testimony 69, a little point them out in the courtroom, little I told you so. Told you what this dude was gonna do. And again, with the fact that I was sick, I wasn't able to go in on this dude the way that I hope that I'm able to do today. Folks, there's a lot of people who've been addressing this situation. After Prison Show has definitely been all over this situation. And if you're wondering why so many people are addressing this situation about Tekashi 69 and the fact that he's snitching and everybody knew that he was gonna snitch and how much time this dude's gonna end up with, well, one really important reason, one theory that I'd like to pose to you is, I don't think there has ever been another celebrity, another famous person, another rapper, let's just go with rapper, mumble rapper at that, who has ever been put on blast or outed as much as this guy, because it's this guy who has snitched more than anybody that I can think of or remember. But yeah, you supposed to be a rapper, huh? You supposed to live that thug life for real. You supposed to be about that life. You ain't supposed to be doing no snitch. Oh, you telling though? I already knew you was gonna tell. I mean, you look the type who was gonna. I mean, your appearance says it all. You got a 6'9" tattooed on your forehead. Is that what they gonna be doing to you in prison? Oh, they ain't gonna be, because you ain't gonna be doing no prison time. Rainbow Bright, BK Night, LA gear looking like you got them Skittle pox. Are they contagious, Billy? I don't think so. Not only is Tekashi the most notable rapper to ever snitch as much as he's doing right this second, you can bet your bottom dollar Tekashi is writing down a full manuscript, full novel, full screenplay of exactly what was going on out there in them streets. He is writing him an autobiography for the feds. Not only is this guy cooperating, every last syllable of the word emphasized in exactly what he's doing, there is a lot of speculation, especially right now, about just how much time this guy's gonna get. And in fact, some news sources are even saying that this guy is gonna get no time whatsoever and is gonna end up getting released because of his cooperation and then put into protective custody. And in fact, it was just Hip Hop DX who reported Tekashi 69 set to receive no jail time and witness protection with full cooperation. Folks, I don't believe that in the slightest. No matter how much cooperating this dude does, he is definitely gonna still end up with some prison time. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This dude is definitely gonna end up with some prison time. He better end up with some prison time. But then again, who knows? I mean, the feds are like magicians. Abracadabra, boom, Tekashi just gave up the whole Treyway game.
We ought to let this guy out. We ought to let this guy out. He was a good Samaritan. He was a scholar of a witness. I mean, pointing him out like we're playing laser tag. There we go, right there. Him as well. Yep, don't even try to look away. It was you too, Billy. Billy, you knew you were with me when we did those robberies. You know, I just want to throw out a little food for thought, a little theory of my own. Tekashi 6ix9ine became famous. I'm not sure if it was because of the Skittle-colored hair first or the fact that he was some sort of a successful mumble rapper from SoundCloud. But think about this. The man's a mumble rapper. How much mumbling you think he's doing when it comes to writing them statements? Compare one of his hit songs, I don't know any of them, to his testimony in the courtroom. Sir, it was him right there. Billy over there. He bought the narcotics with me, officer. Boy, you didn't mumble a single syllable in that statement. That's some good speaking you doing up in the courtroom, little tater sauce. Boy, you speaking more coherent than an English professor up inside the courtroom. Your Honor, it was him right there. Him right there. Him downstairs, milk and cookies. It was him, sir. Sir, it was him. He was with me. Together, we committed the crimes. Don't look away, Billy. We're caught. Well, I'm the reason you're caught, but we're caught now, Billy. And it's with the fact that Tekashi 6ix9ine has turned absolute government witness. And this becoming such a high profile case because, again, think about this. I don't know of any other famous person or rapper who has ever been exposed to the level or has done what this guy has done, just blatantly say, hey, I am not doing any prison time. If I can get away with doing no prison time and taking down the entire TMZ and the entire global economy at the same time, so be it. I ain't about to do this time. Somebody else is going to do this time with me. Why do 10 when I can give all of this away and just go home and be in the witness protection program? Sounds like a pretty fair deal for me. Me being Tekashi, I would, what? You can't do these type of things. And if you get jammed up, you ought to be able to wear it for yourself. Problem with that, though, is ain't nobody trying to wear it. Snitching has become so condoned out here in society. One of the most sickest things that I saw this past week, while I myself was the most sickest thing that I was dealing with, was on Valentine's Day. You know, forget the fact that they're saying Tekashi's testimony is going to lead to him possibly doing no prison time, which is an absolute falsehood. I can guarantee the man's going to end up with some years. But even sicker and more twisted than all of that was what I read about Tekashi's little thought-bot girlfriend on Valentine's Day, where she posted on his Instagram, I always knew you was a rat-ass ninja. Because you always knew the right things to say. Laughing my ass off. Nah, I'm just playing. Happy Valentine's Day, bae. You're making a joke about this dude being a rat. Condoning the fact that you know the man is a snitching for what? Why? Because he's supporting you while he's locked up? How long is that gonna last? Till he ain't got no more money or even worse. Even more sick than the fact of what this man is doing in an effort to become free again, to get himself out of trouble no matter who he's got to get in trouble to get himself there, is the fact that this snitching these days is now something that people laugh about. And this reminds me so much back to when I first got locked up to do the 7 years that I did. When I was sitting in that jail for 25 months, waiting to go to prison, surrounded by so many snitching ass dudes who condoned it the same, who laughed and joked about it the same. Well, I ain't about to do this time, Joe. You ought to think the same, Joe. Get back some of that time. You want to be cool, don't you? That's what we doing, we telling. You know, people ask me all the time, Joe, what made you really want to change? Well, that was one thing right there when I realized, why would I ever want to stay the same when I think, okay, well, guess what? I'm just going to keep it 100. And even if I do get jammed up and I don't tell, at least I'll be respected for the fact that I didn't tell. Nobody's thinking that these days, or very few are. Because when people get locked up, all they care about is their damn selves and doing whatever they got to do to get themselves out of trouble. And if you're thinking about doing your time and standing up, being a stand-up guy these days out here in society, there's folks that's going to look at you like you crazy for doing that. So if you're doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, you ought to think better about it, because I'm telling you right now, you don't even got to be the reason you get caught. I can guarantee you it's probably something like 90% of the time, the reason people end up jammed up is because of somebody else. Tekashi 6ix9ine might be a perfect example of that. But I would hope that all of what Tekashi 6ix9ine is doing, becoming state's witness, government witness, and basically just flailing like he's drowning in an ocean, pointing fingers the entire time. I don't want all of this to give rap music such a bad name. Because, you know, there are some very notable other rap artists who have absolutely blasted this guy since finding out exactly what he's doing. Rappers such as Meek Mill. Meek Mill is actually now a huge advocate for prison reform. Special shout out to Meek Mills. His new album, I think it's called like Champion or Championship. Nothing but straight fire. Snoop Dogg, another rapper blasting Tekashi. 50 Cent. Rick Ross went in on Tekashi on a song on that Meek Mills album. I can't remember what song it was. I think it's called What's Free. I think that might be it. But in my personal opinion, the most notable rapper to go in on Tekashi. Look, if you're a fan of rap music and you're starting to lose your hope because of this situation, let this next guy I'm getting ready to tell you about restore all of your faith. Lil Boosie Badass, who actually just recently made the news in relation to Tekashi, saying, you know what this guy's doing? It's not gonna end well for you at all, stick man. Boosie Badass actually said it first. When you first went to jail, I was like, free dude, because I don't like to see no one in a cage like that, said Boosie, who has also served time in prison himself. But one thing I don't condone, he went on to say, or support, is rats. I do understand your situation, ninja. I was facing a needle. Lethal injection. For those of you who are not familiar with Lil Boosie Badass's story, this guy is the epitome of keeping it 100, living that thug life for real, and really being about that life. This guy was on death row, and he didn't bend or break. He didn't tell on nothing. In fact, if you look at his Wikipedia, Terrence Hatch Jr., born November 14th, 1982. He was born 6 days before me. My birthday is November 20th, 1982. That's pretty ironic. Hatch was sentenced to 4 years in prison on drug and gun charges in 2010. He was indicted on first-degree murder charges and was also sentenced to 8 years on multiple charges of drug possession with intent to distribute. Hatch spent 3.5 years on death row before being found not guilty of murder in 2012. After serving 5 years in prison, Hatch was released early on March 5th, 2014. That man was on death row and he didn't tell nothing. That's pretty remarkable. Folks, all of the news right now about Tekashi is this guy snitching his way out of prison? Has he snitched his way out of prison time? And for the umpteenth time, I don't personally believe that's going to be the case at all. TMZ, who I consider one notch above the FBI in terms of offering up the news, stated that Tekashi 6ix9ine was facing a minimum of 47 years imprisonment and a maximum of life behind bars after pleading guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, firearms offenses, narcotics trafficking, and other crimes. If you're about to tell me that this man ain't about to do no time at all when you done pled guilty to those specific charges right there, who did you tell on? The rapper cooperated with the feds and even testified before a grand jury. Boy, good God. And it was the U.S. Attorney of the Southern District of New York who agreed not to prosecute 6ix9ine for the crimes set forth in counts 1 through 9. What you mean? All of those charges that he pled guilty to, they're saying that they're not gonna prosecute him for now. All because you're testifying and cooperating? Shit, no wonder everybody's telling these days. This is the type of plea deal that you never hear about happening right here. And if they do release this guy with 0 time whatsoever, what is he gonna do for the rest of his life? Where is he gonna go? And how are you gonna go into the witness protection? You got a big dumbass 6ix9ine tattooed right there on your forehead. What you gonna turn that tattoo into? TMZ goes on to report that it's ultimately up to the judge to determine sentence, but the prosecutors say if Tekashi keeps talking, he'll get a gigantic break. Should the defendant successfully cooperate, the government agrees that it will file at the time of sentencing a motion for a sentence below any mandatory minimum. It's unclear how much time the prosecutor will ask for, but it appears the number of years may be in the teens, maybe even less. You know, the crazy thing about it is they got snitch camps in the feds. There's a lot of people who snitch in the feds because they offer you football numbers, 400, 500, 600 months. And a lot of people feel like you ain't got no choice but to cooperate. Why do the time when you can just unwind in front of a grand jury? But even with the fact that they got these snitch camps and these snitch yards where snitches are, for the most part, safe, I don't honestly know how that's going to work out for such a high-profile case such as Tekashi's. He could spend the rest of his time, however much time, that he ends up serving, locked in a single-man cell in absolute protective, super protective custody. Because it may not be safe anywhere for that guy. And if that is the case, maybe he could work on his next mixtape from isolation. And I really wonder what that mixtape would be called. If you got any suggestions, please comment down below. I think it would be called something like, hey, yo, I didn't tell nothing. Y'all got me misconstrued for real. The news got it all. I didn't tell nothing. Crazy situation. Very curious to see how this is all going to play out for this guy. And to be honest with you, I think the guy's going to end up with at least a dime or better, 10 years or better, but you never know. the guy could get released as soon as he goes to sentencing. Thank you so much for your cooperation, Tekashi. Hey, you've got a job with the FBI now. Maybe that's what's coming next for him. Maybe he went from SoundCloud to mumble rap success to working for the FBI. Maybe he could be doing TED Talks. I used to be a mumble rapper, but now I'm not. Now I'm a government witness, boy! I'm a government witness, a boo-boo. I'll be knocking them dead in the courtroom. You could be just like me. Not only am I curious to see how this all plays out, I'm really curious to know what you guys think about this yourself. So please comment down below and let me know. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about all of this. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!